apartment. That is a very important bit of evidence. And it's what Antonio Socci is trying to hold up for an answer. And in the whole of the 187-page book written by Cardinal Bertoni, and in the whole long, at least 15 minutes, from an hour-long program, Porta a Porta, on major television, all was discussed except this bit, the only bit that actually mattered. The fact that Archbishop Capovilla knew exactly where was this bit and what was in it. Eventually, there was, it seems, an agreement between the Holy Father and the Secretary of State and the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith. It would be made public, the part of the vision, or the vision itself, the part that concerned the Pope essentially, and some major disaster. But because of the unsettling nature of the other part, the part that actually is the words that should accompany the vision, that make sense of it, it was to be given to the public indirectly. And so it was that when John Paul II went to Fatima, he deliberately gave clear teaching on the fact that we were in apocalyptic times, and the chapters 8 to 12 of the Apocalypse were very important for our time, something which was repeated by other pontiffs in the same ambit. And the written part was not to be made known as such. However, two bits also were picked up. One was what St. John Paul II had said in 1982 in Fulda, when talking to high-powered intellectuals. He had been asked, therefore as a young pontiff, about the third secret. And a priest present had written down word for word exactly what he'd answered at that point. And it was quite apocalyptic. But it was in an indirect form, but the message was understood. If talks about what might happen, what's going to happen, what of that, or something of that in effect. It was indirect, but people saw, oh, but it was veiled. The authenticity of the transcript was questioned, but then somebody happened to know that also a lady secretary had written down verbatim what exactly the Pope had said, and the two transcripts corresponded exactly. The other bit is what the then Cardinal Ratzinger had said in 1984 in print in the Jesus magazine, when he too had been approached on the question of the third secret. And he also, in an indirect way, gave to understand in a veiled manner what it alluded to, but that as regards ourselves and so on. But it was there, and they concur. So, there is one other bit. It's what went on between the Filipino ambassador and Pope Benedict. Between the two, we know that there was an understanding that the third secret, the words bit, can be heard in Akita. Therefore, we know that actually there is a message, and it concerns the faith of the church, and the bit that is very uncomfortable for bishops and priests to hear. I think you know what. And also the degree of its gravity. You see why it's a delicate issue. Just one more thing. With regard to the vision, it's apocalyptic in tone, the one that we have, but it only has meaning when linked to the words. And this question of words, and not just vision, comes through each time. Even when, in the press conference in 1960, the words would not be heard. In other words, there was no cover-up at all at that point, but there were words. And we know the beginning of the words. It was what goes before and after the famous etc. In Portugal, dogma of the faith will always be preserved, etc. And we can only conclude that right now, what we are seeing, the disintegration of our faith and practice is what so much frightened even authority to such an extent that it was judged prudent to make what we call a mental reserve, and to say that all in the archives of the Holy Office has been made known, which is true, but all the time to avoid the issue of the never spoken of 25-line letter in Palperico, the trunk